everybody doing? It's Paul from Magpie 24/7, out and about. I'm one of probably the only blokes in the entire fucking country who's still actually got a t-shirt on. Yeah, I don't want to give that present to the world, but I hope everybody is okay, enjoying the closed season. Obviously the lads are now back to work. They're back at obviously the pre-season training. That is the non-international lads. We've called up quite a few youngsters, haven't we, over the last week or so. The likes of Bruno, Dan Burn, etc. They are all coming back starting from next week. So looking forward to next weekend. It's all obviously in the lead up to next weekend's friendly against Celtic away. Myself, Carl, and a few of the other lads as well who do some of the other articles, they are all going to be at, I am going to be at, we're going to be at Celtic Park to watch Newcastle United in action. It feels like a bastard eternity. And talking about eternities, that brings us on to the other major talking point of the last week, and that is Anthony Elanga. Now, you know, the rumours started last weekend. A deal was going to be done, then it wasn't going to be done. Then there was complications over, you know, agents, different people, you name it. I mean, literally everything that could possibly go wrong and be a complication had happened. But, you know, perseverance. Eddie Howe has been after this lad for obviously a long time. A year ago we tried to get him. It wasn't to be. A £45 million bid went by the wayside. But yeah, perseverance. He's stuck by him. He's wanted him. And, you know, what's left of the recruitment team has done a sterling effort to get this one over the line, because, like I say, it was a complicated thing to sort out. But finally the deal was done. And it was announced on an evening. Now, I'd been constantly refreshing up on my phone, had fused to the bastard phone. I was refreshing that many times, you know, to check on this deal. Everybody was saying it's going to be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It went on and went on, and all these deadlines were passing, and yet pictures were being leaked out, and everybody was trying to remain cool and calm, which is difficult in this bastard heat. And we were all sort of pulling our hair out, thinking, you know, it's definitely done. It's going to be done. You know, everybody from the social media team, the poor Wi-Fi at St James's Park was getting blamed. But look, they got the deal done there in the end. £52 million with £3 million on top in extra payments, which sound by the like, you know, from what's being said from the likes of Sky Sports, like, you know, they're pretty unrealistic additional add-ons. So it's likely to be £52 million, but announced as a headline £55 million one. That puts them at the third highest transfer fee that we've ever paid, obviously behind Alexander Isak and also Sandro Tonali. So yeah, third highest you would imagine in total, but quality, absolutely quality player. And the more you see of him and the more you hear of him, obviously the social media team have been drip feeding videos out over the course of the day, and he speaks so highly about Newcastle United. What an honour, what an opportunity it is for him, what a step up in his career it is for him to be playing in the Champions League in long sleeve shirts for Newcastle United. You know, he's over the moon. Obviously he knows quite a few of the lads as well. So, you know, he's looking forward to getting working with Eddie Howe. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing him. The A-team up top for Newcastle United, that's Alexander Isak, Anthony Gordon and Anthony Elanga. The three A's, the three of them uniting to form the A-team for Newcastle United. And I do love it when a plan comes together, you know. And this has been the long-term plan. Eddie Howe has wanted him for such a long time, and you can see why. Absolutely rapid. You know, Newcastle United now have arguably the fastest front three in the entire league. I don't know if that's statistically stacks up, but that's my feelings on it. You know, he's scored goals where he's ran from his own half into the opposition's half and scored a goal. He's been working hard to become you know, both-footed, so he can go in on his left and score goals off his left, and he has done. He can also cut into the right, score goals with his right foot, get crosses in. So it gives us different weapons. Yeah, so from before. Mrs. Gold, perfect timing. But yeah, he's been after him a long time. He can operate on both feet, which is, really, really good. He's worked on it. He's developed his game. And yeah, again, he spoke about the fact how he feels that Eddie Howe can take his game to the next level. And if you look at the evidence from, before, you look at the likes of Joe Linton, he's a classic example of, what Eddie Howe can do, the effect that he can have on somebody's career. Because for all intents and purposes, Joe Linton was absolutely finished at Newcastle United at one stage. He signed as a big money forward. It wasn't working for him, and he worked in him. He saw unique strengths, qualities, capabilities, and reinvented him, repackaged him, and he's now one of the most favourite players. In amongst the fan base. He's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet, and he's such a big miss when he's not available, as we found out towards the end of the season. So lots of massive ticks in the box. Also looking forward just to seeing him, as we look to evolve and become better. There's a counter-attacking team into a possession-based team. You look at some of the games that's going to be coming up against some of the European heavy hitters, where we possibly won't have as much possession as that we used to, and you think about going into them games with the pace that we've got and the options and the possibilities that it opens up for us is absolutely and utterly fantastic. He also posted a really nice heartfelt message to the Nottingham Forest fans, and it comes back to the thing that Eddie Howe said all along. That's why it sort of takes us longer to scout a player, identify them, because we delve deeply into the character of these players, what makes them tick. We want that DNA. We want to make sure that we're recruiting the right players and the right types of players for the project. And if you look at the success rate that they've had, that's Eddie Howe and the ownership since coming in, gone are the days, we used to sign players before left, right and centre, and how many of them used to work and how many of them didn't used to work. I'd argue that there was a high percentage of ones, that didn't work, that we lost money out on, etc, etc. Yet since the new owners have come in, we splashed cash, we've spent a few quid, but at the same time, every single player that's come in has added tremendous value as far as I'm concerned. Even the likes of Isak, you think Isak, £60 million, £65 million or whatever it was, with add-ons on in top. But you're now looking at him as a £150 to £200 million player. Gordon coming for 40 odd. He's double that now, if not even more. You're probably talking 90 to £100 million valuation on the player. So, it's all right spending the fees, but if they're going up in valuation, it's a win-win situation, because either you've got a world-class talent in your team, or you've got a player that's a sellable asset for a huge amount of money. And time again, Eddie Howe just hits it and nails it and smashes it out of the park. You look at the transfers that we've made, and how many of them have been stinkers, how many of them have been bad signings. I can't really see any that's been particularly bad or poor signings. Even Chris Wood, which is the one that gets mentioned, you look at what he's gone on to do at Forest. And what he did at Newcastle United, he came into a team, we had a job, we had a need, we needed to stay in the league and protect our Premier League status, and he came in and he did that. So to me, again, that's a massive tick in the, he did a great job box. So every transfer that we do, does it go at the speed that all of us would potentially like? No, I don't think it does. But what I would say is that everything has worked out, and we've come smelling of roses once again with the signing of Elanga. So it must be great for Eddie Howe. Like I say, I think the entire recruitment team that's left have done a great job. Rumours are that we're still working on the Trafford deal. That one is ebbing away. Bournemouth, even Burnley are wanting 40 million quid. I think we've offered 25. They're still talking, and that's the positive thing for me. The player, again, pretty much wants the move. See, that you would think that middle ground will be found. There's talk about increasing the bid a little bit more, and then putting in incentives or payments per year or something like that in to sort of bridge the gap a little bit. I personally think that the 25 to 30 million pound is more than fair if you look at what other keepers have gone for. But I can understand why Burnley want to get every penny out of the deal that is possible, in the same way that Forest did with Elanga. I can understand the reasoning behind wanting to get every penny out of a move for James Trafford, because again, we're getting these players in, the young players. We're bringing the age of the average age of the group down, and these are players who, once we've signed, could potentially stay for 5, 6, 7, 8 years easily. You look at Trafford, he's another one, potentially England's future #1 goalkeeper. And again, he could be in goal for us for absolutely ages. And again, they're probably a little bit sore over the Nick Pope deal, because I still think we had the pants down on that one. 10 million quid for Nick Pope was an absolute steal in my book. I know he's got his critics and stuff like that, but he's been an absolutely brilliant goalkeeper for us. I don't think goalkeeper is the absolute priority, if I'm being honest, but that is where we are at the moment. And if that's what Eddie wants in Eddie Howe, we trust. Keith Downey this morning was saying that we still have to strike and reinforcements. I think that's going to be the next taxi off the old rank. So somebody to come in to obviously replace Callum Wilson, who has departed, which again I think was the right decision in the grand scheme of things. A younger profile forward is being looked for. So we'll see how that one develops, but I think, over the course of the next week or so, you would like to hope and like to think that maybe another forward is brought in. The Trafford deal is rumbling on in the background. If we can secure 1 or 2 of those deals, that'll be fantastic, and that'll leave us with a right-sided centre-back to be able to, sort what would have been a pretty good summer all in all. Still rumours about Sean Longstaff going. I've seen a huge spectrum of opinion on this one. Personally, I think he's a lad who's come up through the youth ranks, deserves a tremendous amount of credit. A model professional, always tried his very, very best. But just like Callum Wilson, I think that, Sean Longstaff, I think the club has moved on and evolved past him. And that's not knocking the lad at all. And I think if he goes to Leeds, he'll do a great job. But again, it's on Newcastle United to get a fair price for him. He's got a year left on his contract. He's got Premier League experience. He can operate and do the defensive side. He can also, score goals, get further forward. He's got Premier League experience and he's English. So there's 2 major things in the old inflation and in the old English tax and stuff like that. So I think the fee that was being rumoured, which was 10 million plus 2 with add-ons, is way below. I've seen some people say we should accept. Not for me, because at the end of the day he's going to have to be replaced. So yes, we're going to have to put some money to that to replace him, no doubt about it. But I honestly think a fee of somewhere around about £15 million in today's market, with the fact that he's got Premier League experience and he's British, with that tax that goes on top of that as a result of that, I personally think that £15 million is fair. And then you go out there and you bring in a replacement. If you can't bring in a transfer replacement, then you look to the loan market. There's going to be players who are available there, and people will say, well, do we need another central midfielder? Aye, we do, because yes, we've got an absolutely unbelievable world-class starting trio in there, but you get injuries, you get suspensions, you need to rotate players around, and you've got Lewis Miley sat there in reserve, and then you're into the likes of possibly Joe White, and you're dipping into the reserve. So we do need to get somebody else to come in there to do a job, to be an option for Eddie Howe. And it's about, as I said on previous videos, about not just improving the first 11, but having the squad there that is balanced. There's no point having 6 goalkeepers and then 1 striker, because you know what's going to happen. You don't have to be Mystic Bastard Meg to be able to see what's going to happen there. Having too many fullbacks but not enough, again, in other positions, is going to cause a problem. We were lucky with the Jacob Murphy situation after we let Miggy go, that we were quite blessed with having him available. And just to close this video, a lot of excitement about Elanga, but we've still got Jacob Murphy as well, and he did remarkably well. What a professional, level-headed player he is. He'll play his part, he won't complain. And when he comes in, I've no doubt about it that he'll give his all. He'll get assists, he'll get goals again, and he'll link up with Isak. So brilliant. Just wanted to end really on just saying that, you know, we've got two fantastic options out now on that right hand side, just like we've got two fantastic options on the left hand side with Barnes and Gordon. So we just need the rest of that balance over the rest of the squad, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting, enjoyable, excitable journey that begins next weekend, a week today. I'll be in Glasgow. Cannot fucking wait to see the lads back in action. So hopefully one or maybe two more signings in before then would do absolutely brilliantly. Let me know what you think about all that we've discussed today. The Elanga situation, Jacob Murphy, the need for extra reinforcements in other areas, James Trafford, the valuation, what do you think about that? The number is on the screen for the WhatsApp number, so you can also, as well as responding in the comments, which you normally do anyway, you can WhatsApp a voice note over to us. We'll use in future videos, a short video as well if you want. That's absolutely fine. And we also have the Magpie 24/7 community sort of page out on WhatsApp as well. So if you sign up to that, and again I'll put the link in the description, it literally means that if you're out and about on the go and there's a major breaking news, we don't put every single story, every single post out on the WhatsApp community page, but anything major like a sign-in, like an article or anything else like that, we will send out a link through that group. It'll come straight through to your mobile phone, and we've signed somebody, or you know, there's an article about whatever. Please do that. I think already I put maybe one or two posts up, and I think there's over 150, 160 people in that community already. And it's just another way to be able to access the information, access the latest news, views, opinions for Newcastle United through Magpie 24/7, through your WhatsApp, and it's all, of course, absolutely and totally free to yourselves. There's no charge, nothing like that. I'll leave it there. Subscribe to Magpie 24/7. Thanks for the ongoing support. They're approaching 200,000 of you across all the social media platforms. It's absolutely mind-blowing, but thank you for all your support, and in the meantime, take care, keep it tuned until the next time, and I'll speak to you later.